Welcome to Saturday's Warrior, where we usually talk about BYU and the Big 12, but tonight we are talking about the NFL because it is the time of year when NFL teams make key decisions that could affect the franchise for years, if not decades to come. Of course, I'm talking about when teams release updated uniforms for the upcoming season. And tonight with me, I've got my good buddy Chris. Welcome, buddy. Thanks for joining.
Oh yeah, no, it's always great to be here. I love talking uniforms, so let's get into it.
Awesome. Let's do it. So, what people may or may not know, a lot of people are newer to the channel, but this is really how the channel started. And it was all because when we were neighbors, we were outside watching the kids play, and we would talk about uniforms and all the updates. And we enjoyed it so much that wanted to continue the conversation and got into YouTube that way. So, it's fun kind of getting back to the roots of what started this all and talking about it. And there were some very interesting changes, some long-awaited changes in this off season. And so I'm really excited to get your take on it and see how you grade the new looks that have been released. And let's start with the Browns, because this was the simplest change, but still very impactful. What do you make of the Browns changing the face mask to white?
Well, I mean, first of all, being a Steelers fan, nothing looks good in the Browns apart from the losses. But I will say I do like the white. I think the white adds a much needed contrast to that helmet. I thought the gray wasn't bad, but it was very pedestrian. I thought the gray just got lost on the face mask. So I feel like having a white face mask is just a really it's an improvement for the Browns. It goes well with the stripe. It'll look great with the helmet. I mean, with the white jersey, with the brown jersey. Yeah, I grade it as an A. It's the right move.
Yeah, it's a great look. I agree. I think this is a solid A. Here's a look of a brown face mask. I know they've had gray and various renditions, and so I think it's a solid move. It's simple, but I think impactful. And I know a lot of people dog on the Browns, no pun intended there, but for their color scheme, it's ugly. And I agree, like brown and orange is not like the most flattering of any color, but their uniform, for some reason, it works for me. It's very clean. It's very iconic. And I think this just really freshens it up a little bit and helps it pop a little bit more. What do you, you could, I guess, so I'm just for the record, I'm also giving it an A, but if you could knock them down at all, it's that some people really feel strongly about the Browns not having a logo on the helmet. What do you think about that?
I agree. You can't put a logo on that helmet. So
you don't want, some people want a logo on there.
Yeah, no, you can't do it. It's just always been this classic brown. I mean, it's this classic orange, and I think it's such a unique look. Apart from the Steelers, who ironically also are in that division and only have one decal on their helmet. So it's like you don't mess with tradition in certain instances, and I think this is an instance where you don't mess with tradition. I think leaving it just that plain orange, it's a great helmet.
Yeah, I saw one tweet. I wish I still had it. I couldn't find it, but it was they said, yeah, they should use their logo on their helmet, and they had the helmet with the helmet logo with another helmet logo, where it goes like eternally, like it's just keeps getting smaller.
Like Russian nesting dolls,
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny you should mention that. We just watched The Man Who Knew Too Little, where I don't know if you've seen that. Anyway, I don't think they should have a logo on the helmet, but I do think it would be cool to have an actual logo instead of just using the helmet picture for like, on the screen, like for presentations or just for anything like during the game or anything. So not on the actual helmet, just, whether it's the sprite or the dog or whatever, that they could use that to depict the team instead of just a picture of a helmet, as you see here.
I agree. I absolutely love Brownie the Elf. I think it's probably the best thing they brought back. It's just such a very fun. I wish more teams did. I know Detroit has a really great like illustrative logo from like the 60s and 70s. I wish more teams would embrace like some of those past illustrative logos. A lot of teams have really fun ones. But I mean, if you were ever to do an alternate helmet for that, I think Brownie the Elf would be a very fun alternate helmet for the Browns.
Yeah. Well, and it wouldn't have to be on the helmet, but yes, absolutely. I agree with you there. But you mentioned the Lions, so let's keep this moving. Go to I forgot. We actually got the Jets first. So let's go to the Jets. So this is one that I know both of us had very strong feelings about when they changed the last time around, and now it seems like a few short years later, they've already made modifications again. What's your take?
Yeah, I think it's funny because they were using this as an alternate, like they were using their '90s look as an alternate, despite the fact that when they updated to their last uniforms, people were hoping that this was going to be the uniform. So I think
Mhm.
that the fans spoke very loudly, and this is what came back because you saw them lean towards this uniform more often last year. I love it because I'm a big fan of the Michigan State green and white, and this looks so Michigan State to me in a lot of ways. So I love the green socks, just that one single white stripe, and then the green top with the green helmet. It looks good. I feel like black is becoming such an overplayed uniform choice for teams. I know a lot of teams are going with black alternates. It looks good on the Jets. I think it would look better with a green helmet than a black helmet, but I get the whole blackout look. But overall, I like it. I think, I mean, for me, it's an improvement from what they had in past years, and it looks it's a great refresh and a callback to those like late '80s, early '90s Jets uniforms.
Yeah, how do you feel about the shade of green? So what they call the Gotham green versus they used to have more of a Kelly green.
Yeah, I like the Gotham green. I like deeper shades of green. I think it looks really good.
Okay. Yeah, and how about the return to the retro logo? Not that
Yeah,
their past logo was so far. I mean, that both were pretty similar to versions of previous logos that they've had. But yeah, let me
yeah,
see if I can pull it up. But
yeah. The logo they had for the past couple of years was too busy. You know, the word Jets, it had the football in it. I didn't like that too much, but I do like that they went back with the past look. It looks a lot better. Though I definitely was a fan, of course, of the Parcells redo uniform. I loved that one, and I would have loved if they worn that forever. But if they've got to go back to a uniform or call to a modern classic, I think this is the one.
so you're talking this one or
Yeah, I'm
oh
talking that one. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So wait, before I say mine, you gave a grade. I missed it. What'd you say?
No, I thought to me this is a solid A. I think it's beautifully done. It's well done. It's very simple. It's not overdone at all.
Yeah. So I second basically everything you said. In terms of the color, I do like this color. I like the Kelly green, but what I like about this one is it leaves Kelly green available in case the Eagles ever want to go back to it, and that way they've got two separate colors. Um, the my I only have a couple nitpicks on this, so overall I really like this, and like you said, it's what fans were expecting the last time around. I was I'm not a fan of the Jets per se. I was a Zach Wilson. Now that he's gone, I can go back to not caring about the Jets, um, but a couple nitpicks on here are the thick white stripe, or sorry, green stripe on the white pants there. I would have probably preferred to see like a couple thinner stripes on there. And then my biggest nitpick, and this is something I always have an issue with Nike, is that big thick collar. I would have preferred just a solid green, along the top, and or white on both, both the home and the way. I think it's too thick. I don't know. It just on all their jerseys. They do it all the time, and so it's across the board for me. But other than that, I think these are exactly the direction that they needed to go, and it was far too long. And so yeah, for both the home and away, I would give them an A minus just because those tiny nitpicks, but which maybe is being too harsh. And then the black one, I'd put it at B plus. Like it looks great. It's mostly I just mark it down a little bit lower because they don't really need it. Black isn't part of their regular color scheme. So to throw in a black alternate, I know it's the hip color. I know it does well and it sells well. And so everybody wants black, but, and it looks great. It's like when the Celtics wear their black uniforms, like they look cool, but they don't feel Celtic-y to me. And that's how I feel about this one with the
Agree.
Jets.
Yeah, agree.
Nonetheless, you mentioned Lions. No, talk about blackouts. That's a better transition. Here we go. Talk about blackouts, unnecessary blackouts. The Lions' new uniforms, and by new, I mean retro. What do you make of the Lions and new look?
Um, this one, I I like it. I do. I like the jerseys. I like the helmet on on the home and away. Like both of them, like the way the numbers are presented, the stripes. Love how the stripes are presented. Um, I'm not really a fan of solid pants. I like there to be some sort of piping on. I like the pants they wore prior to, like the ones they wore last year, where they had the thick center stripe with the two thin stripes on the side. I love those. I thought those were phenomenal, and I wish they would have found a way to incorporate at least the striping they have on the jersey on the pants somehow. But I mean, they don't look bad, but I don't like the white socks with the home uniform, the white jersey. Um,
You and the
yeah,
White Sox.
I'm not a fan of solid white socks on any unit. To me, it just feels very Pop Warner. It feels like high school when I see like completely solid white socks. You know, when high school kids, want to have the NFL look, so they wear their socks all the way up, in their into their pants. But I'm not a fan of those at all. I prefer something other than that. But yeah, even if they put stripes on the socks. But as far as the black uniform, that doesn't do it for me. I don't like the helmet either. I don't like the blue helmet with the black stripes. I was a big fan of that kind of the Ford like inspired helmet from last year with like the classic looking lion on it. I thought
Yes.
I might have done something with that in an alternate, but they didn't. But yeah, black is, like I said, black is such an overplayed color for a lot of teams who don't necessarily need black. So I think for this one, it's a B. It's definitely a B. It's I don't even know it's really much of an improvement from last year, but it looks nicer. I think the jerseys look nicer, the helmet's cleaner, and I can roll with that.
These are if you can even see them, the stripes you're talking about. Sorry. Yeah. So I think you're insane. I think these are, I give them an A plus. They are
You're a homer.
classic. Uh, this is
Yeah.
exactly what I've been asking for, and Lions fans have been asking for forever. Actually, I thought they might even go back to the '90s logo. Then some stuff was leaked a little early, and so we knew that wasn't going to be the case. But I think they just cleaned it up, but it still looks fresh and it still feels modern. And to me, it's up there with the Chargers, I think, in terms of uniforms across the league. I agree. Like the pants could look good with those same stripes, if they kept that same kind of stripe pattern that they have on the sleeves and kind of kept that look. And from the helmets, look parallel throughout the uniform. But I don't mind the plain pants. I think it keeps it real simple. This was actually my area code when I was growing up, before they split our area code. So I like that, but that has nothing to do with how I rated the uniform. But no, I think these look so good. So, and I'm just talking about the home and away. When we get to the black, again, I feel the same as I do about the Jets. It's unnecessary. And to me, especially when you look at the helmet, I agree. You could have thrown in this. I clicked away from it, but that real retro Lions logo, that helmet that they used last year, which was also blue, and they could have used that or a version of that on these blackout uniforms at least. But to me, this just looks like the Carolina Panthers. Now, I think they do the Panthers better than the Panthers do. So I think maybe they should have just done this and then let the Panthers use it. So it looks cool. It just doesn't feel like the Lions to me. Black is not, part of the color scheme. And when you have the blue as this on the helmet, when it's like the primary color like that, it really changes the feel. I'm so used to seeing those silver helmets. And so I'm not, again, I'm a fan of the uniform aesthetically. I'm not a fan of it for the Lions. So for that, I would give it, I don't know, it looks good, but I really don't like, it's less acceptable to me than the Jets one. Like the Jets almost works a little bit better for some reason, maybe just because it's not my team. But so I would mark this one like a B minus. But the home and away, this is what I've been pining for. Their previous renditions weren't terrible. They weren't so far off the base, but they just had some of those kind of, I don't know, more, well, now aged, but kind of more modern elements mixed in that just haven't really transitioned well over the years, that have kind of gone out of style. And now they've just gone back to this look that's timeless. And so for me, I'm saying, oops, jumped ahead there. For me, yeah, a solid A+ for those two.
Yeah, I mean the numbering is very well done. It's just
Oh,
nice and clean. I mean, 'cause and it wasn't that the previous ones were bad; they just didn't look great.
oh yeah, they were all stylized. The kind
Yeah,
of yeah,
it was
I don't
like
know how
kind
to
of
describe it.
the elongated numbers. It just didn't quite do it.
I think it was trying to reflect some of the styling from. I was trying to find a good image here of the of the logo.
Like the
Uh,
word mark. Yeah,
yeah, if that
I
makes sense.
agree. I
So,
agree.
and that was the idea behind it. But just going back to those like classic block letters,
Hmm.
was it was definitely a good decision. So yeah, these are a thing of beauty. I'm a big fan and very excited. It's about time. And
Well,
then
it is.
the black one, as long as they're not wearing it more than a couple games a year, I guess it's okay. But um, I just want it. These others are so good. That's what I want to see, and I think that's what fans wanted to see too. So um, I think that to me marks them down. But um, okay, it's okay. We can disagree. That's why we do
Yeah,
this. All
yeah.
right, moving on. We're going to H Town, Houston. What do you make of this?
This is all over the place. This one is all over the place. So many looks, so many styles.
Yeah,
I man, that like the standard home and away helmet is it's gorgeous. It's always probably going to be gorgeous. Houston's done just a great job with the logo, the look. Of course, I missed the Oilers, but they made up for that with that alternate helmet to a degree. But I love the helmet. As far as the jerseys and the pants, I think they look good. I'm not sure about the striping on like the hook thing on the jerseys. I'm not really a big fan of that too much
I
on the
think they're the
home.
horns, right?
The horns, yeah. I'm not really a big fan of that, but I do like the contrast in the uniform all the way across on the home and away, especially the dark uniform. The dark uniform was really good. So I like those two. The red, I liked. I actually loved when they had the standard logo on the red helmet. Like the red helmets they wore the last 2 years, I loved those. I'm not in love with this particular red helmet with the horns. I don't like it very much at all. um, it's just a lot. It's a lot of that uniform is a lot of red. And then it's a
It
lot
is.
of red. But it'd been nice to break that up with like white pants maybe or something. But yeah, it's a lot of red. And then of
Yeah, neither
course,
one of us big fan of color rush in general, and
no,
I don't
I'm
know,
not.
red is a hard one.
I'm not a big fan of color, especially when it's all red. Gosh, that's a nightmare when it's all red. It's very hard to look at. But the numbers were handled. The numbers are executed well. The stripes are executed well on the pants, and then on the alternates, the H with the Lone Star. I like kind of the nod to Texas and just kind of the style of Houston, leaning into that culture of Houston. But I, yeah, I don't know. I guess yeah. So overall, I'll probably say this one's a C. It's almost a miss for me when I look at it all
So
together.
overall for Houston,
Overall, Houston. I mean, I know people will probably love it. I mean, that like, they'll probably love this one, but it's a miss for me. It really is.
okay. How would you, since each one is so different, how would you
Yeah.
rate? How would you grade each one of these? I guess
Okay.
let's go to here. So I'll say first. So this one's probably my favorite. It's
Yes.
to me the most straightforward. It's kind of the cleanest. Uh, the numbers I don't hate. I actually like the numbers. I prefer more classic block letters. I understand Houston doesn't have, it's not that old of a franchise if you're not counting Houston because this was an expansion, or
Yeah.
sorry, Oilers, since they were an expansion. So I'm okay with them. Like, hey, we're not going to do a throwback. It's disingenuous because that's not our history. So let's do something fresh, and that's okay with me. And so I like the numbers on there. And like I said, this is the most clean of all their uniforms. What and the stripes are not my favorite. That one real thick stripe with a narrow stripe next to it. That's probably my one nitpick on this. But other than that, I like these. Um, they're not trying to do too much.
Mhm.
They kind of know who they are. They've got their brand, and this was just kind of a modernizing of what their existing look was. And so this one, I would say, I don't know, probably a B plus for me. Like they moved in the right direction. They did what they needed to. It doesn't blow me away, but I like it. And so I think this of their 4 new looks, I'd say B plus.
Yeah, I do like the home and away. Like I said, I like the high contrast of it. It looks really good.
What what do you think of having the logo on the shoulder blades or on the shoulder pads?
I don't mind it. I don't mind
You
it at
like
all.
that one?
Yeah, I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, I actually like it with this one. I don't know if it works all the time. I'm trying to think of a case maybe I don't like it, but yeah, I think it works here as well. And then, oh no, we talked a lot about that. So let's go to the whites first. So this one, yeah, I appreciate the concept that they're trying to go with the horns on the shoulders. It's a fun idea. In execution, I don't really love it. Other than that, these are fine. It's kind of the same nitpick. They've got the same stripe on the pants. Other than that, they're pretty clean, and so
Mhm.
not too much of a complaint. I'd bring it down probably compared to the other one. This one B, maybe B minus, but again, solid, and it's definitely an improvement.
Yeah,
That's what I got to be clear. It's definitely improvement over
it
what they.
is. It's an improvement off of what they had. Absolutely.
And so, I mean, a B is still a good grade. It's just these just don't blow me away. I'm just not necessarily in love with these. Now, this one, yeah, like you said, red. These ones are hard to look at. I think the helmet is kind of cool, and well, the not really that shiny chrome red, but the horn logo on there, I think is cool. I'm just distracted because you can't really see it, and the color rush and everything. It's just too much. So I would put these at I don't know. I'd probably say C minus or something. It's
That's generous.
yeah. Well, I guess I'm comparing moving from where they were because they had a red color rush, didn't they?
They had a beautiful they used a blue color rush. But they had a red helmet, red shirt, white pants kit though.
That's what it was. What they did have the white pants.
And the red helmet with the logo looked really good. I thought it
Yeah.
looked great. And I was hoping that maybe they would move in that direction and actually adopt that as more of a primary thing. But I mean, the horn, it's very Minnesota Vikings, but in a not so great kind of way.
Well, and one thing you can't really see here as well, but I really like the stripe on this one. And let's see if we go back to this. You can see it better here.
Yeah.
And I like that stripe on these shoulder blades, and it's probably because they didn't want to use the horn twice, and so they went with something a little more simple. And
Mhm.
I like that. So there's elements to it that I like. So I think C minus is probably about where I come out on that. And then let's talk about this one because this one's pretty different. Obviously, they're using that shade of blue, making a call to the Oilers. They had to be very careful. We know that University of Houston got in trouble for. I should have had that queued up, but
Oh
they
yeah,
had a
the
great.
full
They had a,
uniform.
yeah, it was fantastic, but
It
they
was
got
great. Yeah.
they got in trouble for that, and so they had to be very careful and toe the line. But we're obviously doing some callback to that and introducing the blue. Other than that simple fact, what do you make of this look?
Like I said, I like the helmet. I love, like I said, I love the styling of the helmet. I love the shade of blue they use. I love the Lone Star. I thought the helmet was a big win. The rest of the uniform is just hard though. It's hard to look at. It really is. Like I think it just again, I think it's that the black, like just so much black. Everyone's blacking out, and I'm just not a big fan of it all.
I think it's dark blue, but yeah, I mean
It's,
it's essentially black. It's close, and then this light blue outline around the bright red numbering. Cool idea, but for me, it's also kind of it just makes it hard to look at for me. Same striping on the legs. All 4 of them have that look. They do have this logo. I think the modified logo with that lighter Oiler blue on there is pretty cool.
I would have liked to see the jersey in that color instead. I know there's a color rush, but it would have been nice to see the jersey in that color.
I'm guessing they
I'm
probably
assuming,
just wanted
probably,
to avoid, yeah,
yeah.
going too close to home on that one. And you said you're a fan of this logo.
I like that. I do like it. Yeah.
I give this one, credit for creativity. I don't know. This one's also I don't know if the last one's a C minus, this one's got to be higher than that. So I'd say maybe a C plus on this. There are elements. I like the blue, and I think it's fun, but yeah, it's
busy.
overall it's a mid.
It's busy.
It certainly is, but overall, I'd say how they did from top to bottom. It's better than what they had. They needed it. They were due, and
Yeah.
and now even love it or hate it, at least people aren't talking about Deshaun Watson, and they can move on and start a new chapter in the
Yeah.
history. But
But I like the overall that they went to a darker shade of blue. So it's very dark. So I mean, I do like that they went to a very dark shade of blue.
yeah, it's just this almost looks like the Falcons, out of the corner of my eye, with the coloring with it being so dark, and so
Mhm.
that's maybe one knock against it. But yeah, it's an improvement overall. I'd say maybe it's a C plus, maybe B minus, just that they
For the
moved in
collection.
the right direction, and it's better than what it was. But I'd hope that maybe in a few years, they do what the Jets did and say, you know what, we can do even better, and
Agreed.
and refresh again. So, all right. So let's head over now. Oh, I did like this. This was a good one. I forgot I had this pulled up. So this is just showing side by side and helped me see like, okay, yeah. So they did do some good things to clean this up. See the collar, they actually got rid of that, which was great for me. And this was some thinner stripes instead of that thick one, single color around it. And I like the addition of the logo on the shoulder. The red one, this is a brighter red. You can really tell when they're side by side.
Yeah.
And I just hated this thing. And
Yeah.
so I think these horns are still kind of an improvement. And this one actually has, maybe it was on the other one. It just looked like stripes to me. It is the horn though, on this version. So maybe I just saw it wrong in that picture. And then this. So, I forgot, you couldn't tell in those other images that they have the beveled numbering here. I'm not a fan of that.
No, definitely not.
So maybe I marked this one down even more than what I said, but overall, C plus, you're passing, move ahead, but kind of off the mark. All right. So now we're at the Denver Broncos, and this one was fascinating. I saw reactions all over the place with it. What was your reaction?
Well, at first when I saw the leaks, I wasn't a fan of it. I was like, "Oh, this isn't going to end well if the leaks are what they are." But as I had an opportunity to look at the uniforms, I actually do like them. Actually, and I like that Denver is leaning back into that orange crush. I think that's just who Denver is, and so just bringing that back, and hopefully that's the Sunday uniform. That's the home uniform, and not the blue. But I mean, I love the orange crush, and I think the contrast with the white pants and the orange socks looks phenomenal. Looks really good with that blue helmet. But I thought Denver did a good job with the variations of their uniform. Even the stripes, I'm not even offended by the stripes. I know you will be offended by the stripes, but I wasn't offended by the stripes even though it's a partial stripe, which I typically tend to not like so much. I thought Denver just the whole uniform was handled with taste. I like it. Like I said, few small things like the kind of the ocean wave looking stripe on the top, but
Well, I think it's supposed to be a mountain.
I guess.
So
It looks like a
and
wave to me, but you know what?
what
I
was it?
like it. I like the look. I think
Mountain.
the orange with the that dark blue helmet looks really good. And so I don't know, I think Denver did a good job with these. I think the numbers look good on it. I like the holes like in the white part of the jersey. I think overall it's a really good looking uniform.
What do you make of the? Uh, did I have it queued up here? But the back of the helmet. Have you seen the stripe on the back of it?
I've
Uh,
not,
Shoot, and we'll come back to that. These are some good looks at it. No, I didn't get it queued up. Oops. We'll see. I'll just have to show you afterwards, or maybe I can try pull it up while we talk about it. But yeah, what do you think of? because we know they have this classic throwback. Would you have liked them to have just gone back to that full time, or you prefer that as an alternate with kind of a new modern look for their jersey?
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked the old classic back. I like, I love that the shade of blue. I love the big D on the side. I mean, I've always liked that look. It was always just it was always such a neat looking helmet to me. Even as a kid, I'm like, man, what a cool looking helmet. It's like the Bronco coming out of the D, the orange crushed jerseys, the white pants. It looked good. But I mean, I like the take that they have with the current uniform. It's not a horrible look, but yeah, I would have liked to see the classics though, or even a kind of a modern classic, so like with the Jets did, where they modernize it a little bit.
Yeah, a slight modernization of a classic. I I would have been happy if they had just gone full time to this. I think it's fantastic. It's great and iconic. But if they're clearly decided that that wasn't what they wanted to do because they're using them. They had them right there, and they
Yeah.
made they clearly made this decision. Hey, we don't want to use this for whatever reason. They went with this look, and I'd say it is. I'd say okay, I guess that to simplify it, that's why I would be a little disappointed because I like those throwbacks, the classics as they call it here, so much. But in terms of if they want to keep that current color scheme that they had, what they switched to in the late '90s, and keep the current logo and do something a little bit more modern, I think they were trying to take a follow the approach of the Chargers, which was do something that has some clean classic elements to it, but still do something a little bit fresher and newer. They didn't nail it like the Chargers did, but I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, there's no way it could have been worse. Well, there is a way. There are plenty of terrible uniforms out there, but it's definitely better than what they had. And
Mhm.
I am just one like the shoulders, and I think the mountain on the shoulders actually works. It's funny because I just did a video talking about the NHL, the new Utah NHL team, and talk about uniform and nicknames and everything, ideas. And on there, I was just like, please, whatever you do, just don't incorporate mountains into it. And I used all these examples, used the Nuggets and the Jazz and all these teams. Even BYU had a version with mountains on it. I was like, it's just not necessary. Like we get it. The team's in the mountains, like, and sure enough, the Broncos come out like a week later and they have mountains incorporated on there. Except this is much more subtle, and I think it looks pretty good. A lot of people say, like you said, it doesn't really look like a mountain. It looks like a wave. I see it and I get it, and I kind of like it actually. It's not too detailed. It's just more of a zigzag enough that you can see what it is, but yet not have like pictures of mountains. Like I think of University of Utah with it on there. It's just so ugly, and part of that might just be bias against them. But the only thing I don't really love is kind of the striping. Let's see if you can click on it, or if I can. Sorry, it's going a bit slow here. Is when they do this and they change like the color part way down. I would prefer that to have been a solid stripe, the orange all the way through. But other than that, I think it's pretty. They're really good. I would say big improvement. Not exactly what I would have liked to have seen. Maybe a couple nitpicks. So I would say if I'm feeling generous, I'd be at an A minus. If I'm a little grumpy, I'd probably be saying a B plus on it. But either way, very solid. I'm pretty happy. I'd be pretty happy with it. And we mentioned Zach Wilson and leaving the Jets. The bummer that that he's traded as soon as they update their look, but then he gets to go to this new Broncos look, and so
Yeah.
that's good for him. But let's see, I found this image here, and so it's got this stripe.
Oh, ooh,
Try.
really?
Yeah, and this to me makes me think kind of the Seahawks.
Yeah, that's unnecessary.
Mhm.
That's really an unnecessary look. Ooh, I like that orange helmet though.
Oh, where? Oh, over here.
Just look at like lower left there.
This?
Yeah, yeah, I like
I
that.
think that's a. Yeah, I don't think that's an actual one,
No,
but
it's a concept, but
anyway, so here talking about it though, here's a comparison. I think the numbers are better. They got rid of these things that was so popular for so long on teams, and
Yeah,
um, I overall I like it. I think it was definite improvement. Again, the collar looks better. It's cleaner there, so I'm pretty happy with it. And they still have the throwback, which is just fantastic. And this is
that
always a good
white
look.
helmet looks really good too.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that. That's a great point. We didn't even touch upon that. Yeah, the white helmet, good look, good contrast with the blue uniforms. It kind of feels
Mhm.
like UVA though, with the white
Yeah, it
and
does. It
then with a
does.
little orange on it.
It does. But I will say, I hope speaking of Zach Wilson, I hope Zach Wilson does take the number 3, just so that people who spend all their money on Russell Wilson jerseys can get more life out of them.
Oh, good call. Um, we'll see, won't we? I'm sure they won't allow him to do that just for that sheer fact that they want people to have to buy new uniforms. But uh, yeah, that's a good point. Let's ride. So yeah, here's a good look at the collection. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it.
I
I
am
think it's
too.
cool and not
Well, I
exactly
mean,
the
Broncos
we've
have
gone.
great colors. They have some of the best colors out there. And I think, like I said, I feel like the uniform, despite the fact that I think we both like the classic. I think this is Denver. Denver's young and hip, and I think it's a reflection of the city.
You know what's awesome though too is they don't have a blackout uniform, which
Yeah,
so I think that says a lot too and shows a little bit of restraint. So no, I think it's cool. It works for me overall, and I'm just happy to see teams that we've been waiting for so long. We do these every year, it feels like, and then we say these are the teams next up that need to refresh their look. And it's just good to see these teams finally. Last year we had the Cardinals, and now we're getting the Jets redoing, and the Lions and the Broncos. So I'm really happy about that, and just some really good looks. We'll just see. My complaint about this and doing some of these things, mostly the shoulders, is that I wonder how well that's going to age over time. And so you're kind of setting when you do things like this, you're just kind of setting yourself up. Well, yeah, in 8 to 10 or so years, these are going to start looking and feeling dated. And so, um, but teams are updating their looks all the time now. So maybe that's not a big deal. You get a new a new draft, a new quarterback or whatever, and you start a new era and you want to refresh your look, rebrand or whatever, and sell a lot more jerseys. So, maybe that's not the end of the world for these teams.
yeah, I agree, and I'm very hopeful next year the 3 we see on the board will be Seattle, Atlanta, and perhaps I forgot the third one I was going to say. Seattle, Atlanta, and Minnesota. I'd like to see those 3
Oh,
refresh next year.
I'm pretty good with Minnesota. Oh, you want Atlanta to do it again already?
I don't like Atlanta's uniforms. I really feel like the throwbacks they wear should be the Sunday uniform.
Well, that's what I say. Yeah, that's all they do. They just
you know?
slowly transition out the other ones, and I mean that's what the Jazz kind of did because they, new ownership, and they came out with yellow and black, which were just not the Jazz color schemes, and some people hate them because they were simple, and I was like, no, I like the clean look. I just don't. Black wasn't ever their look. Again, it was, hey, black is trendy, let's use it, and there's such backlash that just slowly they've transitioned more and more away from that, and they already had the Karl Malone, Purple Mountain throwbacks, and they would just use those more and more, and so I think they're kind of like pushing those aside, and that's all Atlanta needs to do because they've got the answer right there. They
They
just need
do.
to
They've got it. They've got it. Just
and just kind of transition the other ones out, just work their way in, and without doing necessarily a full rebrand. I think another one, and they're close, but they could just do kind of refreshed look of their existing brand is Baltimore.
yeah.
Great,
But
great
I,
color
but
scheme.
I don't know. I love their full black uniform. That's the one team. If I say the team that wears all black has no stripes because they've got the little like logo on the hip, their black uniforms are just clean as the day is long. I love those. I don't. I'm not in love with the purple pants, but I love that all black when they wear the all black, or even just wear the white jersey with the solid black pants. It looks so good.
Yeah, but black is part of their
Yeah.
traditional color scheme. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
that works for me. But I just think kind of like Broncos, it wasn't a day and night difference in terms of like all the changes. It's not like incredibly different.
Hmm.
It's just like a freshening up, and it makes
Yeah.
all the difference. Like this is just for me, they're side by side. You're like, oh, it's not as different as I thought, but it just looks so much better. And I think that Baltimore could be right there because they've got a great color scheme, great brand. That yeah, if you just kind of some little tweaks and just
Yeah.
modernizing a little bit, I think it just could be right up there at the top in the league. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There are probably some others that need it, but I think the most egregious ones have already kind of gotten them out of the way. So now we're already like cycling back through where those, now some teams that already refreshed a few years ago are probably getting back in line to do it
Very
again.
true. I know. I feel like the Patriots was a miss when they went to the full navy. I wish they'd went back to the red uniforms, the white helmets, but maybe we'll see those again in the future. Who knows?
They could. I mean, they are still embracing that more traditional throwback look, even though it's a modified version of it. So I think
Yeah.
that was a step in the right direction. But how are you feeling about the Rams? Have you warmed up to it? I'm thinking back to a few years ago when we first did this.
It looks good. It looks better when they were in the traditional Rams look. Yellow, blue jersey, yellow pants. It looks really good there. Probably the only way it looks good, but beyond that, I don't like the bone color, especially the bone uniform.
The bone's still a bad color, but
But
I think
I mean,
the look.
I've warmed up to it more. I've warmed up to it more, but it's like I said, especially when they wear the blue and yellow combo, looks good.
I think it's growing on people. I've heard more and more people say, I'm coming around to it. I still think their old traditional shade of yellow and blue, you know, was better. I still don't love kind of the gradient in the numbers, but
Mm-mm.
overall, I mean, it's not terrible. It
No,
just,
I like the LA logo now. I finally like the logo though. Like the ram in the A. I like that.
see, you hated it at the time. I said,
Yeah.
it's not my only issue. I didn't hate the logo on an island. What I didn't like was they had well, no, it was more the helmet. Like they already had a great helmet, so they didn't need to
Yes.
change it. Like I like the helmet. It's just why change it because it was already good. That was more my issue. The logo I was fine with too. Yeah, it's it's not bad. I've warmed up to that as well. So anyway, yeah, a lot of them. So we'll see what goes on. I guess the worst one is still the Commanders. I heard rumor somewhere at one point. I don't know if there's any truth to it that they were already looking at changing the nickname again.
They need to. They need to change the nickname, the uniforms, all that has to go. It was
I can
just
live with the Commanders. I don't know. I'm kind of beyond it. It's not the worst nickname, and I don't know if they'll be able to do any better. But it's just the uniform. Go back to the Washington football team uniform and just say Commanders on it instead of you know th- that that's all I would have done to change it. And
yeah.
I think they had it nailed. So
It's a bad
uh,
uniform.
yeah, the current one is just weird. They did
Bad
not.
uniform. It doesn't it's not even like apart from the colors, they're like, oh, we want to kind of stay in with the tradition of Washington. Like apart from the colors, there's nothing that just there's nothing that says like iconic Washington to me.
No,
Nothing.
yeah, no, they're trash, and they do a lot of really weird takes on things, and they totally missed a lot of trends.
Yeah.
I think they thought they were getting in on something being really
Yeah.
innovative. It's like, no, I mean, you look at what Denver did and what the Lions did, what the Jets did. Washington just definitely zigged when everyone else is zagging. So,
We threw the baby out with the bathwater on that one.
oh boy. So anyway, overall, Browns we love. Lions we were split on. You think it's fine. I love it. I skipped someone. Who'd I skip? Was number
Jets.
two the Jets. Oh, both of us really like that overall. I think you were a little bit higher. I had a couple nitpicks, but overall great. Uh, let's see. And then Houston, it's better than it was. So I think that's not great, but at least they improved. There's some good elements to it, some things we can compliment them on. And then Broncos, I think overall, I think some nitpicks, but generally impressed and definitely think they improved, right?
I agree. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Like
So
the orange on the white looks really good.
pretty good offseason, I'd say, in that regard, because there's nothing worse when you're waiting and waiting, like, yes, it's time. This team needs it. Like going back to the Jets, and then they come out with something, you're like, why? And so this was,
Yeah.
I think, overall a pretty good offseason for teams moving.
And it was the right time for each of these teams. Each of these teams has a level of excitement around their season. Unlike
Yeah.
a team that just changes the color and like, okay, but there's nothing else going on apart from a uniform. Each of these teams has some excitement heading into the season.
Well, Lions were maybe a season too late.
Yeah.
You would have loved that, like, look, going back in and then having that season, making it all, as deep as they did in the playoffs. When I think of teams nailing it, it's Broncos are kind of changing their franchise and trying to refresh too, and so it's a good timing for them. When I think of a team nailing it, was the Broncos, actually, back in the 90s. Didn't they change and they won the Super Bowl the first
They
year with
did.
that one, right?
They
And
did.
so I remember that. I remember sitting there watching that, and at the time, because it was on trend, it was new, whatever, I just thought those were the coolest uniforms. I had friends that were from Denver, and so I watched it with them, and like it was really cool, and so that stood out to me. And so when you can nail that timing, and so let's hope the Lions can make another run at it.
A deep run. All right.
All right, great deal. Well, Chris, thanks for joining me as always. Please let us know in the comments what you think of all of these new looks. Let us know how you would grade them and what your favorite ones were. Also, let us know which teams you think need to redo their uniforms next. And if you love talking uniforms, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel as we continue to put out more uniform content, and appreciate you watching. Peace out.